Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Heartfelt condolences to those of you who watched LSU defensively on Saturday night and then woke up and watched the Saints offense and put the same emotional capital into both of those because mercy, were both of them offensively bad. And look, I spent a whole segment last week talking about how Derek Carr, I'll just throw a guess out there, I'll probably miss 3 games. He didn't miss 3 snaps. Well, he did last week, but he started. And credit to Derek Carr for toughing it out and getting in there. I had a former NFL player text me last week saying, hey, it's just that shoulder deal. You just shoot it up and go play if you're not a quarterback. I just don't know what the situation is with a quarterback. And I was like, I can't imagine a sprained joint in your throwing shoulder and then coming back out there 7 days later and letting it rip. But he did. But this offense is just feckless. There's just nothing to it. They don't do anything well. The offensive line doesn't run block very well. The offensive line doesn't pass block very well. Derek Carr's under pressure. He's been inaccurate. You're punchless on offense. The stat line for Alvin Kamara in his return is truly amazing. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Alvin Kamara made 13 catches on Sunday for 33 yards. That's 2.5 yards per catch. That's hard to do. It's hard to catch the ball 13 times and not ever go get 12 yards. I mean, his long was 10, and most of them went for like -1. It was check down Charlie season in the dome for sure. I don't know if that's because of Carr's shoulder. I don't know if that's because they think that's all they can do. I don't know if Carr is being conservative because he doesn't want to get hit. I don't know why it was that way, but it was. And it was absolutely worthless. To have that much talent at wide receiver and not be able to stretch the field at all for 3.5 hours is pathetic. And the offense was pathetic last year with Jameis Winston. It was pathetic last year with Andy Dalton. It's been pathetic this year with Derek Carr. And you made every effort to kind of keep the band together. We'll elevate Pete. He called some plays when Sean was suspended or had COVID or whatever the case may be. And we'll keep Jameis around and we'll run it back with Thomas and Kamara. Oh, here's Jimmy Graham. Throw him in the mix. That seemed to work once upon a time. And none of this works. You are wasting an elite level defense because you can't move the ball and you can't score any points, you can't score any touchdowns. Wasting. Kamara comes back. Okay, is this the guy that can fix it? Is there something he can do to ignite things? Well, he runs it for 4.5 yards per carry. They give it to him 11 times. They threw him the ball a ton. He couldn't get anything done. Chris Olave targeted 6 times, 1 catch for 4 yards. One of the precocious young talents in the league. Can't get him involved. I didn't think that Derek Carr would come in and set the world on fire. I didn't think that the situation was so bad in Oakland and Vegas that when he came, the shackles would be off and he'd be a top 7 quarterback in the NFL. I had no delusion that was going to be the case. But I thought that the Saints offense would be a very middle-of-the-road NFL offense. And they're so not. So not. And I spend 5 hours every Saturday with Brandon Taylor, who played on an elite defense with an offense that at times struggled in college. And he said, man, it could divide the team at times because the defense feels like they're doing their part and they're doing more than their fair share and they're keeping teams in game and they're just not getting any help. And at this point, and I don't expect professionals to act like 19-year-olds. It's a different deal. But man, if you're on that Saints defense and you had a streak of 12 straight games where you had not allowed anyone to score 20 points and Buffalo and the Bucs just cracked out at 26, and you don't have anything better to show for it than this, that's maddening as a unit. This was a big game for Saints. You got Tampa coming in, who at this point looks like the favorite in the division, which is shocking because they've gone on the road and beaten New Orleans, and they've got a 3-1 record. Carolina can't beat anybody, and we'll see what the Desmond Ridder Falcons are, but they didn't look great on the Toy Story set or on TV yesterday. So this is a situation where you could have pushed it to 3-1, shown you were the superior team in the division, and put yourself in a really good spot. And one game this early in the season in this division is not going to be the end of the world. You've got plenty of time to make up for it. But the fact of the matter is that the Saints got dominated on their home field because their offense is atrocious. And at this point, I'm finding it difficult to suggest a plausible reason why it would get a lot better. It wasn't good last year, no matter who was playing quarterback. It hasn't been good this year, no matter who's playing quarterback. And I don't know where you could have said, well, Penning will get better and they'll get Kamara involved and then all of a sudden it'll start taking off as Carr kind of gets some rapport with these receivers that he hasn't worked with in a regular season. But you're a month in now, and Kamara did come back. And there's just not... The only thing I could try to draw on would be saying Carr was hurt. He couldn't really stretch it down the field with any accuracy or zip. So they played it vanilla like the Bengals are doing with Burrow, where they're getting it out every 2 seconds and not putting him in harm's way. And maybe that's the case, but that's a stretch. I think you've got a coordinator who's not doing a very good job, an offensive line that is not nearly performing at the level it was drafted at or paid, an average quarterback, and atrocious results. That's basically what your New Orleans Saints off is. And the defense is still good. And so there's still reason to get up and watch the game, like if you're an LSU fan, you say, well, we might outscore them. And the Saints might hold you to 10. And you might get a pick six, and you might win a game 20-13. It's not like the entire roster is a disaster, but the offense is so bad, like LSU's defense is so bad, that it's just difficult to muster up hope of big things happening in the future. Right now, it feels like with the Saints, you've got a better chance of this entirely falling apart and wholesale changes going on in the offseason than it does when this really comes together and all of a sudden the Saints are the division champion with a real chance to get 2 or 3 weekends into the playoffs. Right? I mean, if I told you the Saints were playing in the second round of the play, man, the division's so bad, it changes your perspective. Like, I want to say that the Saints can't make the second round of the playoffs. There's a better chance they would fire the staff than make the second round of the playoffs. But the second round of the playoffs is pretty attainable at this point in that division, I think. But as far as like getting the NFC Championship game, beating Dallas, beating San Francisco, beating Philadelphia, some of those teams you would have to beat to make this happen, it's not. It just doesn't feel like that at all. So we'll see. Maybe Carr gets healthy. I just what you watched on Sunday was just deflating. And from the point where it was 17-0 against Green Bay, and you're going, man, this team's about to come back home 3-0 to play the Bucs, to get to 4-0 at home against Tampa, who we think's tanking. From that point where you give up 18 unanswered in the fourth quarter and then throw up all over yourselves in the dome against Tampa, it just feels a lot worse than it did at the end of the third quarter last week. And sadly, like, that's probably closer to reality than the first 2 weeks and the first 3 quarters of the Green Bay game. I'd love to be wrong. But we'll have another weekend next weekend, and we'll say, all right, LSU's got to go up to Columbia and get a win, feel better about yourselves, and hey, Saints, just keep rattling off teams that we didn't think preseason were going to be very good at all. And next up on that venture is the Patriots, who looked awful yesterday. I don't know. It's crazy. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.